Hello, everybody. It's nice to see all of you here. Just a short announcement. I just want to remind you that from now on, I checked it, you can listen to all three Åke Blomström winner pieces. One we heard today, and you can listen to all the three of them on the IFC website with photos and the manuscript and the audio and translation, everything. So I invite you to listen to them.
In Harry's photograph show, or how shall I call it, we already saw that this man standing here is called generally the Pope of Feature. And we are very honored to have the Pope among us, but I can tell you from my own experience, I see him more like a godfather. Is like a godfather like Marlon Brando in these mafia movies. And with much more ado, I just give the word to Peter Leonhard Braun.
Åke Blomström. 100 drinks to be handed out afterwards. I met Åke Blomström for the first time in the beginning of the 70s of the last century in Ohrid, in Macedonia, at Lake Ohrid, in a OERT meeting. OERT was when the Iron Curtain was down still, the sister organization of the EBU in the East. And I had been asked to come and to explain to these people, I shall describe them to you, the possibilities of expression by using stereotechnique. And I had done my bit, and I had seen in my audience a majority of these stony functionary faces in the East, these strange mixtures of people having a bit of journalism still in their blood, but being in their positions by their party connections, but one or the other person I was really interested in, because I was headhunter, so to speak. I was looking for partners to make a revolution. We were suffering, not only in Germany, across the world always, by scripts. A feature was a written script of up to 30 pages, well-written, well-spoken, by well-trained actor voices, in a well-developed studio, with a bit of ambience and a bit of music. It was a deadly business. And I tried to liberate radio into its acoustical possibilities, to write and to produce a story by acoustical thinking, to make a sculpture of words, of live recordings, of sounds, of ambiences, actualities, pulsating life. That morning, the first day of that stony meeting, Lake Ohrid, we had to turn up in our meeting room at 9 o'clock. I went a little bit through the hotel, and I came to the swimming pool. And in that swimming pool was Åke Blomström. Very impressive. Tall, blonde, a bit like a Viking at that time. A Viking in a business suit. A Viking maybe even the helmsman in a Viking ship. And he had been a champion ski jumper in his youth. And I saw him swimming there. He was absolutely alone in the pool, and at the side of the pool there was a chair with his cloth. And because he was a good swimmer, he couldn't look up because all the time he was covered. And with my a bit strange sense of humor, I passed the chair, took his trousers, and disappeared into the meeting. In the meeting, I managed to put the trousers of Åke's chair in front of the chair, the nameplate, very official meeting. And then I sat back in a very good mood because I was calculating, now he's getting very nervous. Now he's thinking, where can it be? Then he has to go back into his room, take another one. So I gave him about 15 minutes. After 20 minutes, and that's really depicting a bit of his personality, the door opens. It was a very official atmosphere. And Åke comes in with his jacket, with a tie, without trousers. I mean, he didn't know me well. We had just spoken a little bit. And he said, out of the door, across the room, my pair of trousers have disappeared. And I have the feeling Leonhard Braun knows more about it. How could he know that? So I was in an embarrassing situation suddenly. And I designed it to be the other way around. And I said to him, Mr. Blomström, you are 20 minutes late, but your trousers have been here in time. They are sitting already on your chair and they are waiting for you. And he had the guts to go to his chair, to take his, turn around, put it on, and then he said that great Swedish gentleman, as if had nothing happened on his chair. And we looked at each other across the table and we knew it's the two of us making a future. Number 3 was Andries Poppe. Andries Poppe was head of radio drama in Brussels. He was directly coming out of the age of Baroque, a very good poet and a very juicy personality, always smoking a cigar. And the three of us developed within a couple of days, becoming the 3 musketeers of making a revolution. 1 year later already, I organized the first feature conference in Berlin. We have been just 12, 13 participants coming from different countries. And we did something very simple. We played to each other our best piece and the piece we normally will broadcast. Then we explained our budgets to each other, our staff, and the position of our ranking in the organization. And the result was not enough staff, if staff at all, not a reliable budget, no access to a sophisticated studio, no convincing mobile equipment. So we have been a beggar's opera. But we moved. Second conference, third conference, always in Berlin, because it had to be organized against Laurent, against the EBU. Because we knew if it is an official EBU event, all the functionaries would come in. And we were only interested in a meeting of makers who are capable to change things by making a different style of programs. And then, of course, the two gangsters from Vienna turned up, Treiber and Goll. And we had, for the first time, a conference outside of Berlin, 78 in Vienna. And I show you the list of participants. Belgium, instead of Andries, might be sick. Denmark, Germany, BBC with Haidek and John Theocaris. You may remember them. Finland with Pertti. René from Paris. What I'm missing is Viggo Clausen from Denmark. He was very much against stereophony because he had only the hearing on one ear. But this one ear was uncanny in its capacity of listening. I come back to Åke Blomström. You must imagine now this very close, strong and strict bundle of people determined to get forward. After the 78 conference in Vienna, my two colleagues from Vienna managed to get a secretary. So it was making success of all levels. And I was in charge of a department, but I was almost alone. So Andries Poppe changed his department, radio drama, into radio feature, and so on, year by year. Åke Blomström was the only one among us looking permanently for young talent. We have been struggling with the daily confrontation of needs, of problems and whatsoever. He was looking across Sweden and came up year by year with a new young face. And he did something already in the 70s, breathtaking. He managed to persuade Sveriges Radio to give 1 day of broadcasting to the kids, except the news. So from the morning 8 o'clock till to the evening, 20 hours, each type of programming was done by children. So he became, by the Swedish press, the radio personality of the year. So he had a big standing. And then investigative journalism. He was the first one. He came up with import and export of blood. In the 70s, import and export of organs. He called that piece, it was just 25 minutes, Bloody Business. And he got the Prix Italia for it. So he was somebody. He died with 54 years, quite sudden kidney failure. It was not only a fast death, it was a very fast funeral also. I was in Prague, and I got by cable the information he had died, and I managed to get the next morning a plane, and I was having dinner with him. In Prague. I collected my black suits in Berlin and went to Stockholm. And the only other person managing to make it so fast to come to the funeral was Barbara Holmberg from the Helsinki. And we have been absolutely out of place. In black, It was a white funeral. Seems to be a Swedish habit. Everybody in white. A big funeral, and we, the two black crows at the edge. Yes? A big funeral. Many people, professionals, press and whatsoever. And I said to Barbara, it's a very particular emotional moment now. Everybody is very soft indeed. I go now to the Swedish director of programs and try to persuade him to make a donation. And she said to me, you can't do that. I did. And we managed. I talked him into it on the churchyard. I mean, he didn't took the cash out of his pocket. But I got half a yes already. And then somebody got the mandate to negotiate with me, and we said, we got 30,000 Swedish crowns. That was translated into Deutschmark at that time, 9,000. So maybe today, €5,000 or something like that. It was quite a bit of money. And we decided immediately we shall not hand it out in form of cash, but in form of training. From the very beginning. We find the new talent, and then we run them immediately into the feature conference, because that's the best bombardment of getting a survey and getting criticized and being pushed forward. And in the other year, we changed the focus. We handed out an award at the Prix Futura I was in charge of. And so we had a beautiful biannual rhythm of giving chances, of training, of promotion, of getting into the family. And it worked for exactly 6 years, and then the donation expired. My Swedish colleagues tried hard. No way, Sveriges Radio, yet. Now comes America. Of course, it was so important to have this instrument of running people forward that the 4 grants were taken over by our colleagues from the 4 Scandinavian stations. Finland. Is that correct if I say Finland first? Sweden, Denmark, Norway. And the other one, Prix Futura, took over. So we just continued. The first chairlady of the whole thing was Barbara Holmberg, and it was not easy what had to be done now. You must understand that. If I now have to sponsor somebody from Iceland because he is so talented or she, to go to Prague, and I would go to my director and would say, I need your signature now for somebody traveling from Iceland to Poland or wheresoever because he is so good. And he would ask me, and what do we get for that? I say nothing. But he must make a program for that money. No. And so we understood immediately it's not possible that way, and we sneaked and swindled and maneuvered and manipulated. It worked marvelous. But we had no account. It was always that juggling of improvisation, each year in a different style, different distances of traveling, different currencies, yes? Different accommodation situations. So it was in a car if you put in the gear in between, the clutch. Yes? Simon, is that the word? The clutch. So we needed a multi-layered clutch to get that together. Then Lorelei came in, taking over from Marlboro. And in Lorelei's period, we succeeded to get an account at the EBU. The EBU didn't understand really what they were doing. Yes? And so we had been in a splendid situation afterwards, because now the money could be transferred not to a person directly, but to in an account with the emblem EBU, and so it was, so to speak, a little bit sacred, and it worked far better. Till today, I think all in all there will be 150 grants having been handed out within these 30 years. And there are quite a number of people sitting here or in higher positions who got that chance in the beginning of immense help and promotion and getting speeded up, getting insulted, criticized, yes, honestly pushed with a fiercely love, of course. How is it today? A great solution. Today, 2 days before the International Feature Conference, the coaches of the grantees or trainees are running into them like a big injection, the essential knowledge of feature making. Then they go into the IFC. After that comes the period of online teaching. Then they go to the Pre-Europa 1 day before already, getting the second injection, and then taking part in the Pre-Europa. I mean, it's a chance for a beginner. Great. Now I come to the end. All coaches do the job for nothing, voluntarily. Chairpersons, for nothing. All of them are givers. And now I give you a shocking pictures. Today we have an alliance of 13 broadcasters paying 500 euros a year. Makes a yearly budget of 6,500 euros. And we manage with that. But of course, I'm looking at each of you now. If you're in a position in your organization to persuade somebody to join the alliance of the Åke Blomström and taking over an additional share of 500 euros a year, please contact Gabi. If somebody feels ready to become a coach for nothing, of course your traveling expenses will be covered if it is necessary. But normally the argumentation would be you go to the IFC anyhow. You are, so to speak, a part of the game. You must understand that. But if you feel ready to become a coach, go to Edwin. And Edwin, I cooperated with Andries Poppe before you have been even born. And the coaches, please contact Edwin that he can put you on his list. So, here you have the Viking in the business suit, And here you have 100 drinks. Who now feels touched to have a drink with me on Åke's health after being dead 30 years? Please come forward.